Good afternoon, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. This is Rich again, back for your second video blog of the day for Saturday, January 23rd, 2016. Around 3:02 in the afternoon in Billerica, Massachusetts. It's still cloudy out, waiting to snow. Some parts of the Bay State and New England are already into the heart of the snow, but up in the Merrimack Valley, maybe a colding to an inch or two at worst case scenario. The Mid-Atlantic, especially the cities of Washington, Baltimore, Philadelphia, and New York, have been getting 2 to 3 feet of snow, and everything's canceled down there, including Broadway shows in New York and public transportation, so people are homebound. Hopefully my friends in those areas are safe at their house. Don't travel because you're not allowed to when it's a blizzard. Some news to report. The Notre Dame men's basketball team crushed BC Eagles by the score of 76-49 today. It's Happy National Pie Day. The New York Mets signed Yoenis Cespedes to a 3-year contract worth $75 million, but he could have opted out after the first year. And sad news to report in the world of professional wrestling. Former pro wrestler Archie the Stomper Gouli passed away at the age of 71. He mainly wrestled in Stampede Wrestling, feuding with the Hart family. He also wrestled in the United States in several regional territories as the Mongolian Stomper. And he won some regional titles as well, but he never wrestled for the WWE, so prayers to his family. And that's about it on the news. My second video blog subject of the day is about Hulk Hogan's 6 WWE World title reigns between 1984 and 2003. The Hulkster is the most famous professional wrestler of all time. He brought mainstream publicity to the world of professional wrestling. Hulk Hogan was in the movie Rocky III about a year and a half before he became WWE champion. He wrestled a lot around regional territories, but in late 1983 he got a call from Vince McMahon Jr. saying the WWE was expanding nationwide and he wanted Hogan to be with him as the main star of taking the WWE national. On January 23rd, 1984, which happened 32 years ago today, Hulk Hogan beat the Iron Sheik with the leg drop and the 1-2-3 to win the WWE title for the first time. And Gorilla Monsoon, who announced that in Nashville, Pat Patterson, says Hulkamania is here. And it was. Hulk Hogan's first title reign as WWE champion lasted about 4 years and 2 weeks. Hogan defending the WWE title basically the first year not having any major feuds. He defended it against George the Animal Steel, the Masked Superstar, Greg the Hammer Valentine, Paul Orndorff, Big John Studd, Cowboy Bob Orton Jr., and a few others. Hogan's made trips back to Japan to wrestle, and the WWE was getting a lot of mainstream publicity. Hogan was being on magazine covers, appearing on talk shows, including the Johnny Carson show. Hogan's first major feud in the WWE as champion was against the Rowdy Piper. This feud started when Piper attacked Captain Lou Albano and Cyndi Lauper when Captain Lou got an award from Dick Clark and Jack Tunney at Madison Square Garden. And Hogan and Piper had a match to settle a score for the WWE Championship at Madison Square Garden. In February of 1985, the special guest ring announcer was Bob Costas of NBC Sports. Bob would make a good pro wrestling announcer, in my humble opinion. And Piper and Hogan fought to a double disqualification. Mr. T from the A-Team interfered along with Cowboy Bob Orton Jr. and Paul Mr. Wonderful Orndorff. And the main event was set for WrestleMania 1, which was Hogan and Mr. T with Superfly Jimmy Snuka in their corner facing off against Piper and Orndorff with Bob Orton Jr. in their corner. Special guest referee was Muhammad Ali. He was the outside referee. And Pat Patterson, WWE Hall of Famer and the first Intercontinental Champion, was the inside referee. And former New York Yankees manager Billy Martin was the guest ring announcer. And Liberace was the guest timekeeper. This was a very grudge match. Back and forth, back and forth. Hogan's team wins when Cowboy Bob Orton Jr. goes up to the top rope and accidentally nails Paul Mr. Wonderful for Orndorff. He was going after Hogan. Hogan pins Orndorff for the 1, 2, 3. And Piper and Hogan's feud continues at house shows across the country. Hogan also continues to have other feuds, including he fights Big John Studd again, and he also feuds with Brutus Barber Beefcake, King Kong Bundy, Terry Funk, Magnificent Morocco, all over house shows in the United States and in Canada. And around this time, Hogan's making millions and millions of dollars of merchandise. He's on the cover of Sports Illustrated. WWE has its own cartoon series called Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling Connection, which aired on CBS for 2 years. That's probably a future subject on a video blog, probably in the next few weeks when I get a time to. So, but this is another one. I have to stay within the subject. Hogan and Piper blow off this feud on the first ever Wrestling Classic, the only Wrestling Classic, and this was the first major WWE pay-per-view to be broadcast nationwide. In November of 1985, Hogan beat Piper by disqualification, and that ends that feud. And Hogan's next major feud in the WWE for putting up the WWE title was against King Kong Bundy of the Heenan family. This feud started at Saturday night's main event when Hogan defended the title against the Magnificent Morocco. Bobby Heenan was substituted for Mr. Fuji that night because Fuji had the flu. And then King Kong Bundy comes down, causes the automatic disqualification on Morocco, and both of them beat Hogan to bits, and King Kong Bundy gives some avalanche splashes. Hogan injures his ribs, and this is the main event for WrestleMania 2. A steel cage match in Los Angeles in Memorial Coliseum, Sports Arena. It's King Kong Bundy with Bobby the Brain Heenan facing off against Hulk Hogan for the title. Hogan wins the match by getting out of the cage, climbing the cage. Pretty good cage match. And afterwards, he drags Heenan into the ring and beats him up. Bobby Heenan used to take big bumps. He was a big bump taker when he was a manager. And then afterwards, Hogan continues on defending the WWE title. And then his next big feud is Paul Mr. Wonderful Orndorff. Hogan and Orndorff become friends when Mr. Wonderful turns face in May of 1985. They have a few tag team matches together, but Mr. Wonderful gets jealous of Hulk Hogan. Even Bobby the Brain Heenan and Adrian Adonis and Jimmy the Mouth of the South Heart call Paul Mr. Wonderful Orndorff Hogan Jr. And an addition of the Flower Shop, Paul Orndorff was challenged by Bobby the Brain Heenan to say Studd and Bundy will face Hogan and Orndorff, and then Hogan and Orndorff calls Hogan and pick him up, but he doesn't answer the phone. Hogan shows up a few weeks later with Orndorff on the Flower Shop, and they were ready to accept Studd and Bundy's challenge, but Orndorff said, "Wait, I have accepted a contract from the Moondogs," and they've wrestled the Moondogs 1 week before Studd and Bundy. Orndorff is a one-man band in the ring. He beats both Moondogs easily. Hogan does not get in this match. He's not tagged in. And in the next match, the next week on Championship Wrestling, it's Hogan and Orndorff facing against Bundy and Studd with Bobby the Brain Heenan in Studd's and Bundy's corner, and Mr. Wonderful goes to town on both Studd and Bundy. Then he tags in Hogan. Hogan then slams Big John Studd, and you could see that dissension with Mr. Wonderful. He's a little mad. Eventually, Studd and Bundy beat up Hulk Hogan, and then when Hogan wants to tag Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff, he accidentally bumps into Orndorff, falls off the ring apron. He thinks he hurts his eye. Studd and Bundy beat up Hogan, and they throw the referee out, causing the disqualification. Then Mr. Wonderful comes in and cleans house, and he lifts Hogan's hand. They won the match, but Orndorff gives Hogan a clothesline and gives a pile driver to Hogan. And then Studd and Bundy congratulate Mr. Wonderful, and Heenan does. Hogan's been turned on by Mr. Wonderful, his so-called friend. Mr. Wonderful joins the Heenan family, and for the next several months, Hogan and Orndorff go around the horn throughout the United States, having this big feud. It was the biggest money-making feud of Hulk Hogan's career. They have 3-match series all over the WWE, with them culminating in steel cage matches. It was awesome. This was a great feud. The big blow off to this feud was at Saturday Night's Main Event in January 1987, when it was a steel cage match, and it was an awesome steel cage match. Both of the wrestlers, Orndorff and Hogan, touched the floor. Referee Danny Davis said Mr. Wonderful won, but the other referee said Hogan won, so they had to restart the match, and Hogan wins it after being restarted, and he beats up Bobby the Brain Heenan. Hogan's third year of WWE champion goes smoothly, but the next big feud is start with him and Andre the Giant. Andre the Giant was undefeated in WWE for 15 years. He was Hulk Hogan's best friend, and on the Piper's Pit, Hogan's presented with a trophy for having 3 years as WWE champion, and Andre the Giant says to Hogan, 3 years is a long time. Next week, Andre the Giant presented a trophy for being 15 years undefeated, but this trophy is smaller than Hogan. Hulk Hogan comes in and congratulates Andre, but Andre leaves. And then the next week on Piper's Pit, Piper was there with Jesse the Body Ventura, and they argued, saying Hogan's title's bigger. Hogan's trophy is bigger than Andre's, but Andre should have a bigger trophy because he's been undefeated 15 years, and they agreed to meet on the Piper's Pit the next week. And then they do, and Hogan's comes out, but then when Jesse the Body Ventura introduces Andre the Giant, he's with Bobby the Brain Heenan, and Hogan was shocked. He pleaded with Andre to leave Heenan, but he didn't, and he says Bobby the Brain Heenan was doing the talking for Andre the Giant, but when Hogan touched Andre, he says, "Don't touch me, look at me, I'm here for one reason, and one reason only, to challenge you for a world title at WrestleMania." And then Andre rips Hogan's shirt off in the cross, and then Hogan's got a paper cut, and Piper says, "You're bleeding, man, you're bleeding." Andre turns heel. Eventually Hogan accepts the challenge, and it's Hogan and Andre at WrestleMania 3. Before WrestleMania 3, Andre eliminates Hogan from a Battle Royal on Saturday Night's Main Event. And then WrestleMania 3, which was the biggest card ever to see a wrestling event, over 93,000. That's what the WWE says. That's kayfabe. It's more closer to 78,000 than 93,000. They just want to hype up the number. Hogan wrestles Andre in a great match. Legend had it, Andre had to wear back brace, and he could not feel anything through his legs. Hogan wins the match by body slamming Andre the Giant, giving him a leg drop, 1, 2, 3. Andre suffers his first WWE loss, the torching of the past. Also, the WWE says this was the first time Hogan and Andre met, but that was total BS, because they wrestled many years before, when Hogan was a heel. They didn't want to acknowledge history 6 years ago in WWE back then. Hogan in 1987, continues to defend the WWE title against Harley Race, Ted DiBiase, One Man Gang, thru, and a few others. But he continues to feud with Andre the Giant at Survivor Series 1987. Hogan's counted out when he's facing off against Andre in a Survivor Series match. And then they set up for a match at like the main event. Hulk Hogan against Andre the Giant. Andre the Giant is matched by Ted DiBiase there at this match, and it was in Indianapolis, Indiana, at the Old Market Square Arena. It was on NBC. Hogan slams Andre, but the referee's tied up with DiBiase and Virgil. And then Hogan grabs the referee, but then Andre gives him a small slam and pins Hogan. 1, 2, but Hogan shoulders up. But the referee gets the fatal 3 count. Andre's the new WWE champion. Hogan's title reign ends in controversial fashion. Andre sells the title to Ted DiBiase, but then there was a second referee who looked like the first referee. They were twins. They were Earl Hebner and Dave Hebner. And it was actually Earl was an evil twin referee. Earl was actually a referee in NWA Jim Crockett Promotions a couple of weeks before, then coming to the WWE. Eventually, Hogan slams like Dave Hebner and throws him onto Andre and Ted DiBiase, and the title becomes vacant. And the next year, Hogan's is no longer a champion because he's filming No Holds Barred. Macho Man takes over as champion, and Hogan goes a year without the title. But at WrestleMania 5, Hogan regains the title from Macho Man Randy Savage. It was the Mega Powers exploding, and Hogan's basically second title reign, which lasted approximately 364 days, was primarily feuding with Macho Man Randy Savage and Zeus and Ted DiBiase. And it was, a disappointing title reign, to say the least, because it was basically only a few opponents. And plus, this is when the start of the decline of the WWE's first boom period and stuff, because of the ongoing with the beginnings of the steroids. And also, Vince McMahon wanted to kind of phase Hogan out. At WrestleMania 6, Hulk Hogan loses to the Ultimate Warrior. This was supposed to be a passing of the torch, and Vince McMahon was going to phase Hogan out as a top-level performer. There was rumors Hogan really wanted to turn heel on the Ultimate Warrior, but Vince McMahon put a kibosh to that because Hogan was still the top money making for the WWE. The Ultimate Warrior flopped. Hogan missed most of 1990 in ring action because he was injured by earthquake. But this was just to get him off television to make Suburban Commando. And the third title reign for Hulk Hogan. He faced off, beat Sergeant Slaughter at WrestleMania 7. It was when Sergeant Slaughter was an Iraqi sympathizer, which, that angle was overboard. I mentioned it on a previous video blog about a year and a half ago. So Facebook and YouTube, you could check it up. Type in Sergeant Slaughter's heel turn 1990. It will be mentioned there. And Hogan's third title reign was very, very, in my opinion, not that impressive. The house show business in the WWE was starting to tank, and he was basically feuding with Sergeant Slaughter for most of that third title run. And then and also Hogan started a feud on the house shows with the real world heavyweight champion Ric Flair. Their first match was in Dayton, Ohio in October of 1991. It was very disappointing with the draws and stuff, and there was a lot of fans actually cheering Ric Flair instead of Hulk Hogan. And this is when more of the steroid thing gets out there. Hogan loses the WWE title to The Undertaker at the Gravest Challenge in Survivor Series 1991 with help from Ric Flair. The Undertaker gives a tombstone to Hogan. Ric Flair brings a chair, and then Undertaker's the WWE champion, but he loses it 6 days later back to Hulk Hogan at like this Tuesday in Texas. Hogan rolls up the Undertaker after throwing ashes in the eyes, 1, 2, 3. But this match was marked by WWE President Jack Tunney getting hit by a chair when he was trying to get Ric Flair out of there accidentally. And then the title becomes vacant. And then in 1992, Hogan does not have won any time with the WWE belt. First time since 1983 that happened. And Hogan basically disappears after WrestleMania 8. Vince McMahon told him to go away for a while because of the steroid thing getting bigger and bigger with the allegations and stuff. And Hogan doesn't show up on WWE television until February 1993, when he was originally going to be strictly a tag team with Brutus Barber Beefcake as the Megamaniacs, and he was slated to be WWE Tag Team Champions for a little while. But Hogan played a bluff on everybody for an interview he did with a newspaper that he was going to walk out of WrestleMania 9, which was being held in Las Vegas, as WWE Champion. That happened. Yokozuna beat Bret the Hitman Hart at WrestleMania 9 when Mr. Fuji throws salt in Bret the Hitman Hart's eyes, and Hulk Hogan comes down. And then Fuji challenges Hogan to an impromptu match. Bret, who's still selling the blindness of the eyes, says, "Go for it, go for it, go for it." And then Fuji and Yokozuna attack Hulk Hogan. Fuji was going to throw salt in Hogan's eyes. Hogan ducks. Fuji throws the salt in Yokozuna's eyes, blinding Yokozuna. Hogan punches Fuji and gives a leg drop to Yokozuna for the 1, 2, 3. Hulk Hogan's 5-time WWE champion. But this is when Hogan was like filming Thunder in Paradise pilot. And he also wrestles in Japan, and he did not defend the title once in his 2.5-month reign as WWE champion on any house show. He lost the WWE championship to Yokozuna at the first King of the Ring in June of 1993, when he was like leg dropped by Yokozuna after a cameraman had his camera exploded onto Hogan, throwing somewhat of a fireball. That photographer was actually played by Harvey Rippleman. And then afterwards, Hogan is banzai dropped by Yokozuna. This ends Hulkamania forever in WWE. For the next 9 years, Hogan wrestles on some matches in Europe against Yokozuna on a European tour, but he doesn't. All intents and purposes, he's gone. The original plan for Hulk Hogan was him to hold the title into SummerSlam 1993, when he was going to drop it to Bret the Hitman Hart, and he was going to be phased down the cards. But Hogan did not want that. He didn't want to lose to a small wrestler. He called Bret Hart a small wrestler, so he lost it to Yokozuna. Hogan goes to WCW. He's not heard from the WWE for 9 years, not steps in the WWE ring. He's mocked in the Huckster skits in 1996. That's another subject for another day. Hogan comes back to the WWE in 2002, February 2002, with the NWO with Hall and Nash, but the fans cheer Hogan, especially at WrestleMania 18 when he wrestles The Rock in an awesome match. Hogan turns face. Eventually he's back in the red and yellow, and with so much pops going on for Hogan, Vince McMahon puts the WWE title on Hulk Hogan for a 6th time. He beats Triple H in April of 2002. Hulk Hogan holds the title for approximately 1 month. Then he loses it to The Undertaker in May of 2002, and this was the last time he ever held the WWE Championship. 6 reigns as WWE Champion. That's a lot of reigns. Hogan brought a lot of mainstream publicity to wrestling, and his first title reign, in my humble opinion, was the best title reign probably in the world of professional wrestling, because it got the mainstream of wrestling for Hogan. The rest of the title reigns, in my humble opinion, didn't lack that good, because the wrestling business was kind of going on a little bit of a downslide. Plus, eventually people who were like smart fans says Hogan as champion again. It's just even though it was good, it was not so good. They should give it another reign to somebody else, because Hogan's always going to be part of the WWE. And I think overall for Hogan's title reigns, give it basically a C. A+ for the first title reign. The second title reign, he basically feuded with just a couple of wrestlers. That's an average title reign, a C. Third title reign, C. Fourth title reign, incomplete. Fifth title reign, incomplete as well. And the sixth title reign, just a nostalgia act. That's a C. So I give it as his thing with WWE. All 6 title reigns, I give it between a B- and a C+. And that's about it on that. Be back for the third and final video blog of the night, which will be about the kids show that was real popular on Nickelodeon in the 1980s and 1990s, Double Dare with Mark Summers. Keep calm, everybody. And I'm a Julie Bunny guy, Molly Rosenblatt of Fox, WCCO of Minneapolis, St. Paul, Wax, and she's got nice legs. Elizabeth Hart's the best. Amy Swensley's so stunning. And in the words of Sean Lucha, get out. Don't forget Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Any plugs or shout outs, private message me and it will be shouted out. Bye now.